Hello, everyone. I'm so excited you are here. If you could drop in the chat and let me know if you can hear me okay and see the screen okay. I would also love to know your industry. I always love to see where people are at in their business. So let me know your industry, who you are. Just let me know that you can hear me okay in the chat. So excited to get started with you guys. We're going to give it a little bit just to make sure sound and everything is okay. Let some more people join in, and then we will get started with getting paid with proposals. How are you guys doing today? Hello, interior design startup. So exciting. I actually attended a interior design retreat in the spring that I spoke at. It was so great to get to know your industry because we have a lot of interior designers in the Dubsado community. So if you haven't met a lot of them, make sure to get connected with them in the Dubsado Facebook group. Look at this. We got some interior design people in this webinar today. I love that. So excited. Yeah, I did enjoy that retreat. It was so great. It was great to get to know the community, and that's just a niche I haven't really dove into. I worked with the wedding and event industry a lot, but I know a lot of interior designers use our platform, so I wanted to hear kind of like what their needs were with Dubsado and everything like that. So it was really awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get going here in a little bit, but I'm really excited you guys are here. When you guys join, if you're watching this live, make sure to put in the chat your industry. Would love to see what industry you are in. There should be a section for you to put questions in, like a Q&A section in the chat. If you guys could do that, because at the end I will have a Q&A time. If it's not allowing you or anything, just put them in the normal chat and then I will like search through them. But it'll just be a little bit easier for me to go through the Q&A section that way. So anytime you have a question, just plop it in there. And then at the end, I will go through Q&A time. Social work and innovation. I love that. Love hearing your guys' industries. So we're going to get started. And then I will go back and forth between the chat and see if you guys have questions. But this is all about getting paid with proposals and turning those leads into paying clients, which is what we want. We want to be getting those notifications from the Dubsado app. We want to know that we are like making the most out of what our marketing is doing. You know, we take so much time to cultivate these leads, and then it can be kind of frustrating when then they don't turn into paying clients. Where are you guys at? Let me know if you're watching this live, where you guys are at in your journey of the whole converting leads to clients. I'm guessing you're wanting some help since you're here watching this webinar, but on a scale of like 1 to 5, 5 being like, I'm doing amazing at this. Like, where are you at in the conversion process of converting leads to clients, like on a regular basis? So put that in the chat so I can see, and then I'll look back and see what your answers are. So for any of you who don't know me, I'm Taryn Rochelle. I'm here to take your business to the next level with real proven strategies. I'm a keynote speaker, dedicated coach, and your business's ride or die. My journey began in retail, but after years of hustle, I found my true calling in helping ambitious women, like many of you guys, build thriving businesses without sacrificing their personal life. With experience transforming my own conversion rate to a 95%, I've learned how to turn leads into loyal paying clients, and it wasn't always easy. I faced moments of self-doubt, learned from every pivot, and worked through those all too familiar struggles of balancing life with business. But through it all, I discovered a way to create sustainable growth by aligning strategy and balance. Today, I'm excited to share some of those insights with you. In this webinar, we're going to dive into methods that helped me boost conversion, streamline process, and make time for what matters most. So let's get to see some real results. without sacrificing your sanity and turn those leads into clients. So are you guys ready for this? I am super excited. This is like something I love talking on. I had to make this webinar as concise as I could for you guys because I could go on and on this topic. So love seeing, let me look at your answers. Okay, we got 0. For 1 to 5, we got a 3. So right in the middle. Just know, like, any number you guys are putting out there, you're not alone. I'm sure you'll see some more numbers in the chat. If you watch the replay of this, drop your number in the comments on YouTube, because I want people to not feel like they're alone in this journey. I have had many times where I wasn't converting leads to clients, but then I was like, I'm not going to be doing all this work to market and then not see the results from it, and made those changes, which a lot of these strategies I'm going to teach you guys today. So just know you guys aren't alone. I've been there. I am not perfect. But now I have learned ways that I'm going to teach you now to have conversion happen more often. So you are not the only one that your leads are looking at. So how do you get the yes? A lot of times people are like, you know, the way I do things is so different, is so unique. Of course, people are going to choose me. And while that could be the case, you know, I've had people that have come to me and I was more expensive than someone they were looking at, and they went with me because of my process, or that I specialize in their niche, or any different reasons. But, you know, if we are not doing things quickly to get them to pay and giving them an experience that makes them want to swipe their cards or pay you, like, then why can we just expect that that's going to happen, especially when we are not the only ones that these leads are looking at, especially in the online space that is growing every single day. So this is my before. So before I started implementing a lot of these strategies I'm going to go over with you guys, I was averaging about 2 to leads per month. They were coming in, but not as quickly as I wanted them to. And not only that, but I was hustling to even get this many leads, and many were not my ideal clients to work with. So I was still getting leads that were coming in, and every now and then I was like, "Ooh, yes, like this is my ideal client." But then majority of the time, they weren't my ideal clients. I quickly, when I worked in system builds, that's where my business more started, was in that. And when I was working in system builds, I specialize in the wedding and event industry. And it took me a little bit to niche into that. But once I did, that's pretty much like all that came to me. I did have some people that came from other industries, but they were still my ideal clients. They still had the same like values and, you know, missions and what they really wanted to see happen in their business. And they saw a need for a foundation of systems. And those type of people were my ideal clients. Yes, I prefer to work with the wedding and event industry, but I still a lot of times brought people in from others, but they were still my ideal clients. My conversion rate was about 65%. So the amount of clients that were saying yes was not enough for the amount of time it was taking to acquire them. So hours upon hours of discovery calls to put these leads in the ghosted status. I was bringing in about 2 to 3K monthly income. And if you're newer to me, I don't measure success at the amount of income you make, because that's subjective to everyone. 2 to 3K a month could be an insane amount to a lot of you. And for some of you, that could be not enough. So I never like to say, like, when you're looking at these numbers, I don't want you to be like, oh, well, I would be fine with 2 to 3K a month. Like, you know, what's going on here? Like, is that wrong? If that is right for what you need to like live your life and to have the business you want and the life you want to live, then that's amazing. And that's what I want for you. But I just want to preference this in that I don't measure success at how much income you make based on like a number that people say, like 6-figure years, 10K months, like that's not how I coach. So I just want to say that as we're going through here. I was roughly doing about like 10 hours of wasted time per month because of some of the manual work and conversions being low. That was a full day's worth of my time just gone. As a mom of two, my time is precious and I didn't want to be wasting it. But I didn't know what I didn't know. And that's why a lot of you guys are here watching this. And I love that you're here because you are wanting to know what to do differently to make a difference in your business. So I'm really excited that you guys are here and taking this time. So the after was about 5 to 6 leads per month. I had more leads coming in and at the same time was spending less time acquiring them. How word travels fast. I became primarily referral based due to the experience I provided. So I wasn't spending as much time marketing. When I would go through my source breakdown in Dubsado of like where people are finding me. So when you have your lead capture, you can have a question that's saying, how did you find me? And then you can put in different sources in there. So like Instagram, Facebook, referral, speaking engagement, podcasts, and then they can click that and you can see where all your leads are coming from in Dubsado. And so I would look at that and I was like, wow, like before it was all like Instagram or all these different marketing channels. And then majority of it, I was still getting them from there, but majority was referral based and I had more leads and was making more money. So I was like, okay, what's happening here? My conversion rate went to 95%. So more leads were saying yes and faster. My conversion rate went up and I actually removed discovery calls from my process altogether. We have some interior designers in here. So that are watching this live, I know, discovery calls and things like that might be, really necessary for your process. But I would love to hear if anyone who does discovery calls and who doesn't. This is always just fascinating to me because when I actually removed that part of my process, I actually increased my conversions and increased my monthly income. I still added in what I called vibe checks. They were about like 5-10 minutes long. And it was just to make sure that like our personalities would vibe well because we were going to be working together for a couple weeks. But I made sure that they knew it wasn't a sales call. So anyone that got on those calls was like ready to pay. I just wanted to make sure that we were the right fit for each other. There was some times where I didn't even do vibe checks and I just went straight with working with them because I could already tell or who they referred came from. They, was a good enough person where I was like, okay, I know that you would send me an ideal client and they want to take this spot right now, and I'm just going to move forward with it. So when I actually removed that part of my process, it increased my conversions and my monthly income. I saved 10 hours because remember I was losing 10 hours. I had more than a day's worth of time put back into my month. That was time spent intentionally on income producing activities, time for rest, and more time with my family. So those changes were very great for me to implement. And you can see from the before and the after what the difference that made. So which would you choose? Like if we were looking at this, would you want the before or would you want the after? So put that in the chat if you're watching this live. If you're catching the replay of this, let us know in the comments, or you can always shoot me over a DM on Instagram. So let me know if you would like the before or if you would like the after. Yeah, vibe checks were such a great change. Someone in the comments said vibe checks, interesting. After for sure. Yeah, they were great for me to implement because I made sure when they were scheduling a call in Dubsado, I used their scheduler and it said when I was sending it, if you're scheduling this call, you know that this is not a sales call and this is a time for us just to make sure that we're the right fit for each other and all those types of things. But it wasn't me pitching my services, like they were already ready to go by that point. So again, that increased my conversion rate. A lot of times on those calls, people wanted me to send them my proposals right away, and they booked with me just on that call, just make it easy for them. After for sure. Yeah. I would think you guys would want the after, because most people, again, we're not talking about the income or anything, but just those increases in conversion, not marketing as much and things like that. Most people would want that after effect. So mistakes I have made that cost me money and lessons I've learned that make me money today. So mistakes that I made was giving too many options that confuse. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see in people's proposal process is they want to give so many options. And yes, like sometimes if you're, if there's something that someone needs to do that's like super custom, let's say, you're doing a book for your photography afterwards and there can pick and choose the binding and all those different options. Like I've had a client where we had to like build out something like very robust like that. Yes, there's going to need to be a lot of options, but you can still make it in a way that it doesn't confuse and people are wanting to still book. But for more like service-based stuff, that's not where you need so many options like that. Why are we giving too many options? We want to make sure that we aren't confusing them and taking them away from what we actually want them to do, which is going to be to book with you. Treating private proposals like public ones. If you're unfamiliar with Dubsado and the proposal process, you can share public proposals. So you can make a proposal form public. So you can share a link and people can fill that out and book on it. And multiple people can use that one form as a public proposal. And when you're sharing a public proposal with someone, most of the time they may not maybe know you as well. They're not inside of Dubsado yet, so they haven't gotten your like emails, and maybe they're like more colder than like someone that's more warm. And those times, yes, we're going to want some more information in there. But when we're using like private proposals that we're sending in a project in Dubsado, which is more what I'm going to be talking on in this webinar, we don't want to be having too much information on there that is going to, again, take away from what we want them to do, which is to book with you. So when I'm saying we're treating them like public ones, we're putting on so much information in there that's like a website. It is just as long as your website is. It is a huge sales page. You're confusing them. You will see an example of one of my old proposals in a little bit. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about on this. Making it more about me than my leads. Using so much of here's my street cred, here is all of this. Again, most of the time they maybe know that already, and that's not going to be something that's going to get them excited. We want to share with them about how this is going to impact them, how this is going to elevate their business, how this is going to elevate their house, for all my interior designers on here. Making it about them and not about yourself is so important. Not automating as much as I possibly could. I'm very systems oriented. So systems, automations, things like that have always kind of been like my love language. But even someone that is systems oriented, I was falling into that trap of, well, I want this to be personalized. I don't want it to be automated, especially when it came to the booking process. I want to customize as much as I can. And then once I found Dubsado, because I came from another CRM, I didn't have to do that. There were so many ways that I could automate things to still be personalized and not have to do it manually. And that was a game changer for me. Lessons I have learned that make me money today is creating intentional add-on options. So when I'm talking about giving too many options that confuse, there could be someone that all of the different add-ons, you could have a bunch of add-ons for your services, and those could really just like not make sense to this first person. Maybe you have already talked and you already know exactly what they're looking for. And yes, we want to upsell and we want to like make more money, but again, we don't want to confuse. And then we don't want them to see all these add-ons, which I've had this happen in the past where they've seen all the add-ons and they think, okay, I want all of these, so I'm going to wait until I can like afford everything. And what they really need is like the base. So like when I did Dubsado builds, what they really needed was like the build itself. Like they maybe didn't need to do, if maybe they wanted to do, I did coding to add in like more elements and stuff like that. So maybe they just weren't ready for that yet because it was more of an expense. Or I had an add-on for a Slack workspace where I could set up their Slack channel for their team, custom design it on all these types of things. Like then they're starting to like spin the wheels of all these different options. And maybe we've already talked about it. Maybe having a team is like 3 years in the future. And so me putting that Slack add-on workspace is just like not necessary for them. And so making sure that the add-ons that are on there are intentional and aren't going to confuse. Keep scrolling on a proposal to a minimum. Again, I'll show you an example of this, but the longer it takes them to get down to the submit button or to get to the contract or the invoice, the longer it's going to take for you to get paid. The faster it's sent, the faster they pay. So the faster that someone receives your proposal, your invoice, your contract, the faster you're going to make money. And unless your business is a hobby, which, that is okay, we most likely want to make money. And this is how we do it. This is how we make money, is by getting people what they need fast and showing them the results that you can give them and deliver to them in a intentional way. And then an experience that wows sells. So this is like the biggest lesson I have learned in business from the very beginning is I've really focused on the client experience, down to the way I create slide decks, down to the way that I speak on stages, down to the way that I coach my students. I really focus on the experience, that I pay attention to every single detail to make sure that it's going to make sense, that it's needed to be there, that it's something that is going to really make my client feel like I would pay this over and over again. Like when you hear that from clients, one, it's a sign to maybe raise your prices. And two, it's a sign that, wow, my experience is amazing and I'm doing what I need to be doing. So we're going to dive into the 6-step framework to have highly converting proposals, meaning more of these. The you just got paid notifications that we all love now receiving on our Dubsado mobile app, or I love getting mine on my Apple Watch when I'm like at the gym, at Trader Joe's. I love receiving those. It's like one of my favorite features of the app is having those push notifications. Just a reminder too, if you guys have questions, if you're watching live, put them in the Q&A section. If it's not allowing you to, put them in the chat. And then at the end, I will have Q&A and answer any questions you have. So we're going to dive into each step of the framework, and then I'm going to show you like what this means when we go into Dubsado. So the first step of the framework is going to be to make it clear. When a lead becomes confused, they often lose trust that many times you take time to cultivate. The more clear you can make a proposal, including pricing, deliverables, next steps, communication, etc., the better. I always love to say a confused mind rarely converts. So I don't know about you, but if I am on a website or I am shopping on Amazon or I am, getting something from Trader Joe's, if I am confused at what it is, the ingredients, I'm a big review snob. So if the reviews are bad, like if things aren't clear, you're going to lose me. And this is where people won't convert. So if you have things that are very confusing, there's too much going on, it's not clear of your pricing, your gatekeeping information, you're gatekeeping the deliverables, all of that type of stuff. Like I am one who likes to share my pricing. I don't hide it. I at least do like a starting at price because I don't want to get to the point of a vibe check or of something and then it's way out of someone's budget, or it's just not a right fit. And I'm pretty set on my pricing, and so there's not much wiggle room at all. And so I want to be clear of what that is, because I've had people that have waited until they were ready to invest. And that's okay too. I personally just recently hired a website and brand designer and a copywriter, and I wanted to wait until I could hire the right people. And I waited until I was at a specific point in my business to be able to do it and do it right the first time. And so that can happen. The people that I hired were surprised that I like booked with them so fast, but it wasn't fast because they've been on my radar. I was just making sure that I was at the right place because they were clear on their pricing, their deliverables, next steps. I knew I wanted to work with them. I just waited till it was the right time. So when it comes to Dubsado, we're going to go into each section of like what this means in Dubsado language. So in Dubsado, clarity is key to building trust with your leads. By creating detailed packages and proposals, you ensure that your potential clients understand exactly what they can expect. This transparency helps maintain the trust you've worked hard to cultivate. So this is an example here of my actual VIP intensives that I do virtually. So in here, this is giving a package. So for these clients specifically, and you're going to see some examples throughout this webinar of me doing this in invoice form and then in proposal form. And I did this very intentionally. I have intention behind everything I do, guys. So when I am showing you this in invoice form, this is called like making messy action, okay? And not waiting until things are like perfect to get paid. I was starting to like play around with the idea of doing VIP intensives. I actually stopped working one-on-one with clients and I have my coaching program, but I had some people that were at like a higher level of business and wanted more of like my one-on-one help when it came to visibility. And so I was like, you know what? I am going to do this and I'm not going to wait until I have like this beautiful proposal and all that stuff because I was about to host my retreat. I just didn't have time to do it. I could have waited. That person could have found someone else, but instead I put this into a Dubsado package. I sent her the invoice in an email, a contract, because we keep everything legally legit around here, and sent this to her. It still was clear. It was outlined. It was detailed. It had the dates of her payments. It broke down the deliverables. It was everything that she needed to pay. And this is a higher ticket service because this is a VIP intensive with me for a day. And so, but she still paid. She didn't need this big proposal to, make a decision. She knew that she wanted to work with me and we moved forward with it. So this is why I'm showing you this example, because I don't want you guys to see the title of this webinar or anything like that, or go through this and be like, okay, now I'm going to spend weeks and weeks and weeks or months and months creating these proposals and spending so much time not getting paid. You can still have the same kind of effect by sending invoices in Dubsado, which I still do now. I don't create everything into a proposal because sometimes that's just not needed. And they just want to work with me now and get on my schedule because I have limited availability. So they just want it fast and I provide it to them fast. So this is where you can do this in a way in an invoice as opposed to a proposal. Next is going to be to make it intentional. So every single thing in a proposal should serve a purpose. Nothing should take their attention away from the purpose, which is to start working with you. So this is my very long proposal that I was talking about. So you will see here, we scroll and we scroll and we scroll and we scroll and scroll until finally they are giving us their information and doing all of that. It is like the longest proposal. This was at, when this was a few years ago when I had this. And yes, it's still converted. It probably could have converted more and faster. I had a lot of people that had so many questions, and I was trying to like plug them all into this proposal. And then what I realized is that my marketing wasn't answering those questions enough. And I was trying to put them in here, which then just like kept their wheels spinning too much. They were like, oh my gosh, this is like a lot of information to take in. Let me sit on this proposal for a couple of weeks. And I was like, okay, like weeks would go by and then like they wouldn't book, or then they would want to book and then that time slot was taken on my calendar, and it just like was a hot mess express. So as you can see, it just becomes very confusing when we don't have intention behind what is on there. You should be able to look at every single thing on your proposal and be like, this serves a purpose. This is helping them understand what to do next. This is helping them but like select their package, and this is helping them click submit and go. Like, we don't need to be doing the most in our proposals, because again, unless this is a public proposal going out to someone that's cold, they know nothing about you, they don't need to hear every single thing you've done, your accolades, like where you've been featured on, like all of those types of things, because that's only going to take them away from what they want, what you want them to do, which is going to be to pay you. So we want to limit the unnecessary information that might dilute the main message. And we want to include clear calls to action, directing leads to take that next steps to engage in your services. That is something that I feel like is missed a lot, is not having a clear like what to do next, especially if you're using Dipsado proposals where the form, the contract, and the invoice is all in one like step process. It's all connected to like one form. That is where people get confused. If people are new to Dipsado, maybe they've worked with people in other platforms and they haven't experienced this process before. And so giving them a clear, this is what you're going to do next. This is how you're going to get on the schedule. Your slot is not solidified until we receive payment and a signed contract. Like, having that clear communication is key. And that is something that is missed, that is very intentional, that should be on there. Next is going to be to make it about them. A lead should feel seen and heard, not like they're another dollar sign in your bank account. When they feel like this proposal is customly made for them, even when it's automated, the yes becomes a no-brainer. So this is an example of how to make it about them, even in an email. So in Dipsado, you can use emails, which are called canned emails, and you can personalize certain things in there to make sense for them. So for example, one thing that I love to do in Dipsado, I did this more when I was more service-based and did system builds, but in your lead capture, you can use the workflow element, and it can trigger specific workflows for specific services. So when people inquire on, if you have like 4 or 5 different services, and for this example, someone was looking for a ClickUp build, and when they click ClickUp build, they got information about their ClickUp. And instead of me just saying, hey, thanks for inquiring, I'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours. I'm sure some of you have an email like that right now, and no shame. I'm just glad you have an automated email in the first place, but we can elevate it a little bit. This is a way that I took out so much information from my proposals and had it in the process leading up to them booking. So they were getting as much information beforehand. So when it was time to book, all I needed to put on there was their package, what to do next, and they could pay. They already know the process. They already know the minimum investment. They already know what's going to be inside of their build. Like, they're getting an idea. They're getting excited. They're already thinking about, okay, this is the investment. She does offer payment plans. Like, this is great. I can do this. And then when we get to that vibe check portion, it was like, okay, I already have kind of like weeded out anyone that was like, oh, this isn't actually what I'm looking for. I just want someone to create me forms and ClickUp. And then I'm like, okay, I don't just do forms. I do full ClickUp build. So then that would just, weed out anyone where maybe my services weren't right for them. And that's okay too. So this is something that I love to do because you can still personalize this. You can see it has their name. You can see it has information on the build. And this is types of information. Again, I wouldn't put all of this in a proposal, but you can highlight certain things that you still want to make clear in a proposal, in an invoice, in your packages, so that it is about them. It's about the experience that they're about to have. It is about the transformation that your service is going to offer. And it's going to really make them feel seen and heard and feel like this is customly written for them, especially with the name personalization. I usually would ask, like what industry they were in, and then that would formulate in the canned emails too. So I say, hey, I see you work in X industry. Love that industry. And then they would feel like, oh, like she's literally sitting there writing this email at 2 a.m. No, I'm not. I'm asleep. And so then they would feel like this email was coming to them from me, like I'm writing it, but my workflows were doing it for me. Next is going to be to make it fast. The longer they wait, the more likely they are to go with someone else. When you are front of mind and they are already excited to work with you, and then they get an opportunity to get on your schedule fast, think how excited they will be then. Think about, why we love Amazon. Okay. We love Amazon. Well, some of you may not like Amazon, but I love it because I like things fast. There was, for example, I wanted to get these like protein brownies that were like really popular on TikTok. And I was like, you know what? They're like a couple dollars cheaper on TikTok Shop, but on Amazon, I can get them today. And I'm like, I really want these today. I'm like craving a brownie and they have so much protein in them. And so I will do things because it can happen fast. And so sometimes, even if it's more expensive, if it can happen for them fast and I'm not saying like you need to be like, oh, I can work with you tomorrow. It's more of like, this is how you can get on my schedule because I book up quickly. I would book projects months in advance into the next year. I am pre-selling my program that starts in January right now. Like I like to pre-sell and push things out, but they can book with me quickly. I make that process fast because they're excited in that moment. So this is an example of how fast things can happen in Dubsado. This is an actual example from someone that went to my retreat that we just hosted last week. It was so much fun. And so you can see how fast, based on these timestamps of how quickly this person booked with me, because of how fast Dubsado makes that happen. They were able to receive all the information, the proposal, the contracts, my financial disclaimers, like all these different things so fast. And then that meant I was getting paid quickly. I had a spot saved at the retreat. This person, I believed, was like one of my first one that booked. And so they got like the best room, second best room, because we got the best room, second best room in the house. All those different things, all of that stuff happened quickly because they were excited. They were ready to go. She wanted that best room in the house. Like she was ready to pay. And if I didn't have these workflows set up, if I didn't have automations, if I wasn't prepared to have this kind of process, then I wouldn't be getting paid quickly. I wouldn't have been, this person could have found a different retreat to go to. I'm not the only one that hosts events out there. And so they could find somewhere else and be like, hey, I just invested in going to this event. So sorry, but that didn't happen because I was front of mind. She was ready to go. She was ready to pay. And I gave her that information fast. So if you utilize Dubsado's automated proposal features to deliver proposals instantly upon inquiry or through workflows, once you've gone through vibe checks or discovery calls, that helps you get paid so much faster. Setting up reminders and follow-ups. So if people aren't filling out your proposals, you can have a email that goes in X amount of days after form is not completed, send this email. If the form is completed, it will not send that email. So you can do follow-ups, provide a clear timeline for next steps so they know when to expect a response or follow-up. So, for this, she had booked in March and my event, like I said, just happened last week. So in mid-October. So of course I'm letting her know, hey, this is what to expect next. So she's not just sitting there waiting for months like, okay, I just booked this retreat that's in October when she did this in March. No, she knew exactly what to expect. We had a chat community with all the attendees. She knew about that because we gave a clear timeline of next steps. Another thing you can do is offer a limited time incentive or bonus for signing quickly, encouraging them to take action while their interest is high. So for this example was our first come, first serve best rooms in the house. Some people had to share rooms because they were the last ones to book. Some people had their own rooms because they were the first ones to book. For my program right now that I'm launching, I'm doing they get a free conference ticket for the first 10 people that joined. And now everyone else that's joining now is getting a discounted conference ticket. So there are so many things you can do. You can also, if you don't want to add in like a bonus of like, how I'm talking about like a room or, all those types of things that maybe don't resonate for you, even just saying there's an incentive to your time on your calendar is something that people will take action on. So if you have one spot left and be very conscious of like faking this. I see a lot of people are like, there's one left, and I still see them like selling it afterwards. Just have integrity behind it. But if you do have one spot like on your calendar, you can let them know that. You can use proposal expire feature in there so that when you say like, I hold this spot for 48 hours on my calendar. And after those 48 hours, your proposal will expire. And I cannot guarantee that you can book this project with me in November. And so that gives them like, okay, if she has one spot in November, I have 48 hours, I need to make a decision. It just gives that like urgency. And especially if you've been prepping them and giving that information ahead of time of what to expect, all that stuff that I said was in the emails and everything and not in the proposal. The proposal is just like easy. They know you, they like you, they trust you, they're ready to go. And it makes that 48 hours like they want to do it right now because they don't want that to expire. Next is going to be to make it exciting. There is not anything that is boring that makes you want to swipe your card. So why would you think your leads would want anything less than you do? So we like things that are exciting. We like things that really make us, hopeful of stuff that's going to happen in our business. If we're booking someone for a service, like when I was looking for a copywriter, I was looking for very specific things. Her website made me excited to work with her. Her personality made me excited to work with her. She talked to me about her process of things, of how she literally gave me she said the phrase, I will stalk you, like stalk your profile, your Instagram, listen to all the podcasts you're on, everything to learn your brand voice. Because that was like a big thing for me, is I wanted to do as little work as possible with my copy if I'm hiring someone. And so when she said that, I was like, done. Like I'm here for this. I was excited. It was an investment, yes, but I was excited to make that investment. So don't think that your leads want anything less than exciting. So in Dubsado, infusing excitement into proposals can significantly increase engagement and motivate leads to take action. By presenting your offerings in a vibrant and compelling way, you can capture their enthusiasm and encourage them to commit. So even just like small little details of their name being on there. Okay, this is like a very like low hanging fruit of, being able to have their name in there and seeing it being like, oh my gosh, this is just for me. This girl was approved to come to my retreat because it was application based. And so it was exciting. That picture is actually a picture from the backyard of the house. And so she was like, oh my gosh, like I want to sit in those cabanas. And so it would just like made her excited. There isn't a ton on there. I literally have, you're approved. Here are the next steps to book. And then I had the package on there for her to pay and book. Like that was it. But she was so excited, and her enthusiasm was like, she was freaking out to come to this retreat. She was so excited from receiving this proposal. One, that she was approved because it was application based. Two, because she saw the pictures of the house. Three, her name's on it. She's like, this is for me. And she knows exactly what to do for her next steps. So we want to make sure things are like eye-catching. You can incorporate visuals of videos, of photos, right with energy, right with the way that your brand voice is, because especially if people are going to be working with you, you don't want them to read how you are on your website or your Instagram or anything, and then they like go to work with you and they're like, who is this person? Like, I always say you will get the same me, whether you run into me at Trader Joe's, whether you see me on stage, whether you are, we know each other from my kids' school. Like, I am me. I just may be wearing something different, or, like I may be in like my Uggs and my comfy clothes when I'm like dropping my kids off at school. I may not wear those when I go up on stage, but my personality and who I am is going to be the exact same. So you want to make sure that people are getting you all the way through. One way to also do this to make it exciting is to include testimonials or success stories that really spark that excitement of people that have worked with you before. This is really important to make sure that you're capturing testimonials. There was a previous webinar, so it should be up on Dubsado's YouTube channel, about increasing your testimonials that you receive, like asking for them and everything. So make sure you watch that, because I am huge on testimonials. I ask them from speaking events, my coaching students, my past clients, like every single person I asked for a testimonial. At my retreat, I pulled our photographers and had them do little testimonial videos of everyone that was at the retreat. Like, I want to hear about their experience, but I also want others to hear about their experience. You best believe I'm using all of those retreat testimonials to help market my conference. Like, that is so important to do. And it's best to gather them when they're excited. If I would have sent them a link from my retreat to be like, hey, after the retreat, they're home, they're tired, all these things. And they're like, okay, let me try and like remember all the things that I loved, as opposed to while they're like sitting by the pool and, enjoying the moment. And I'm like, okay, share about this. Like, why are you excited? Why do you love this? What they're going to say then is going to be different than what they would have said in a couple weeks. So when you're gathering testimonials, do it sooner than later, to really capture that excitement that you can put through your proposal process. And last is going to be to make it easy. If the booking process is difficult or confusing, leads may think working with you will be the same. Once there's a lack in confidence is gone, it's hard to rebuild. If I have ever gone through someone's like process of like working with them on things, and like their inquiry form is confusing, or maybe someone's asking me to like go on their podcast. Like, I've had this happen before, where like someone emailed me to be on their podcast, and then I was like, okay, awesome, let's do this. I go through the process, and it's so hard to go through their process of getting on their podcast. And I'm like, okay, then it starts to question, like, what's their interview process like? Like, what's the process of like getting, like, how soon is this podcast episode going to come out? Like, I start to question things, and people shouldn't be questioning their confidence in you. They should be like excited, and keeping that excitement all the way through. So in Dubsado, a way to like make it easy is, if you're using their proposal process, is how you can have it be through a one-step process of their form of their proposal being connected to a contract and also be connected to an invoice. So it makes it so they're going through, they're staying on like one page, they're clicking next, they're signing their contract, doing all the things, keeping things legally legit. Then they're going in and paying their invoice. If you are not sending a proposal, like I said, making messy action, okay, and we are sending it an invoice and a contract, you can still do this on one email, where you're sending one email that has two links, an invoice and a contract. So for the girl that I shared about earlier that did the intensive with me, so there, she had an email that had the invoice, had the contract, and then she just had that in one email. So she was able to do both things really quickly, very easily. I walked her through that process in, like, I typed out exactly what to do next, what to expect next. And then once she signed her contract and paid her invoice, she got a follow-up email and explained that I was excited to work with her, and what was going to happen next. So when you can simplify the booking process, this makes it to be a smooth transition from a lead to a client. So we want to create user-friendly experience, so you instill that confidence in your potential clients and make it easy for them to say yes. So ways to do this in Dubsado is to set up the booking form in Dubsado that guides them through the steps effortlessly. Offer clear instructions on how to complete the booking process to minimize any potential confusion. automate any follow-up emails to remind leads of their next steps to ensure they don't feel lost, and provide multiple payment options in a straightforward payment process, making it convenient for your clients to secure your services. So that is where Dubsado Payments comes into play. There's so many great ways that you can offer payments to your clients by using Dubsado Payments, because they have different options, different ways that they can pay. And there's so many more coming out in the future that'll really help your clients. Like, okay, awesome. I have this option. In the future, I know they would love to offer, like all the different features that you see when you go on other websites like Apple Pay and Google Pay and all these different things. So just making it an easy way for them to say yes makes it so you're going to get paid faster. So remember your choice that you had before when I asked you, like, which one would you choose, the before or after? Your leads also have a choice too. But when you make it an easy one, you will be their go-to choice. You will be the person that they will always go back to for services, or that they're going to refer people to you because of the experience that you provided. And you just need to remember that when you have a choice to make in your client experience, your leads also have a choice in who they work with. So let's make it an easy one. So I'm all about tangible steps and actual steps for you guys to take next. So I always say time to pour that coffee and get to work. This is definitely something, if you haven't already been screenshotting, this is definitely something to screenshot. So that way you have next steps into what to do next. I would love for you guys to work on your ideal client journey. So what the steps you want your leads to take for them to book with you. Audit your current process. If you already have a process, audit it and see how that's working, how people are going about working with you, how they are going about booking with you, what happens after they book with you. Evaluate that process. If you've gotten feedback from people, look at that feedback, make adjustments that you need, implement a seamless contract process, protect your business and clients with a solid contract to build trust and confidence. I'm not a lawyer, so this is not legal advice, but please have contracts. They are amazing. Again, I know there was another webinar on contracts that Dubsado brought in a lawyer for. So make sure to check out that webinar. I believe she gave a discount to her template shop too. So definitely check that out. Develop engaging and exciting proposals, or even the invoice and contract way that you can go about doing things that highlights the transformation that you're going to offer. Streamline the booking process. So simplify the steps that your leads take to book your services, and automate reminders to keep them engaged. And remember, you have the power to create the booking experience your clients deserve. Dubsado offers a variety of features and educational resources like webinars like this to set you up for success. Once your systems are in place, your leads, your business, and the revenue from your clients that are excited to work with you will thank you. So speaking of thank you guys. I want to leave you guys with this. This QR code takes you to my Stan Store, where you'll have like my to get on my email, like every single thing that you guys may need for me is all there in one place. My Instagram is the Taryn Rochelle. But I want to leave you with this. I may not be your actual coach yet, but I am going to coach you right now. You are in control of your pricing. You are in control of your conversion rate. You are in control of your client experience. And I want you guys to remember that. I want you guys to remember that you are in control of what you guys are doing, and that you can make the difference. You can see that difference. That's what you want to happen in your business. I don't want you guys to sit here and think that, okay, like this is working for Taryn or this is working for them. But it's not going to work for me. It can, it will. I'm going to push you as your virtual coach right now to do that. So now we're going to go into Q&A. I'll go over into the Q&A section and answer any questions that are in there right now. I'm just going to go in order. If there are questions you have now, you can plug them in there. And then I'll look through the chat and make sure there's none that I missed as well. Okay. Angel said, I don't like starting my emails with hey. Does Dubsado have another option? So do you mean that you don't like to say hey Taryn, and then go through the like go through the email from there, you want to like start off with something else. If that's what you're saying, you can write your emails however you want them. That's what's great about Dubsado is you can go through, okay, yeah, you can go through and edit those canned emails to say exactly what you want. So a lot of my emails do start with hi or hey, depends on what the email is. But a lot of them I like to start depending, like if they're just booked with me, I'll put like their first name and then I'll say like for the retreat, for example, when they booked it, it said like their name and then it said like, you're coming to Arizona. So it would say like, Angel, you are coming to Arizona, and then would go into the rest of the email. You don't have to say, hey, you don't have to write like the best thing about Dubsado is the customizations. Like you can do what you want in there to make it sound like your brand voice, to make it sound like you. You can do this in your forms, in your emails, even the emails that go out automatically. So when people enroll in like auto pay, for example, a lot of people don't know this, but when you go into canned emails at the very top, you're going to see edit templates. You're going to want to click that. And any of the emails that go out automatically, like when auto pay is enrolled, when people like cancel their auto pay, it's failed, or payment plan reminders, like any of those emails that go out automatically, edit those templates to sound like your brand voice, because then when people are getting those, it still sounds like you and it doesn't sound like an automated robot. I hope that answered your question. Testimonials are great, but for formal feedback, how can I also ask for that in an effective way? So Patricia, for formal feedback, yes, I love testimonials, but I love feedback. I always want to be growing. I always want to be elevating my client experience. So I always leave an option in like testimonial forms. I don't just say like, what's your testimonial? I like when I'm sending a form, I'm asking certain questions. So it depends on the service or what it is. Like, but so for I'll just do like my coaching students, for example, when they go through my program, they'll get a testimonial request and a feedback form. So I will ask them first, like their feedback. So I will say like, how is your experience with like pre-buying, like, cause they went through my pre-sale of my program. So like, what was your experience of that? Like, cause I want to know how they felt pre-buying something that's not happening till January, because I love to pre-sell and I want to know people's experience. Then I may ask them, what was your take on our Q&A calls? Like we're going to have monthly Q&A calls. So like, what's your experience with that? I will ask on like, is there any feedback from the coaching program that you have for me? Good or bad? I'm open ears. I always love to say that because I want them to know, and nothing's off limits. Like I want to hear it. Thankfully, I've never received anything like too crazy or anything like that. And then I will ask for like a written testimonial, and then I will ask for their consent. Again, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but please get consent for testimonials, especially if you're going to be using them on your website, unpaid advertising. Like you need to get written consent from them. I know a lot of like contract template shops like have testimonial releases that you can send and things like that. So let me know if that answered your question. What about with following up with leads? Any tips? How long should you wait after sending a proposal to reach out? The magic is in the follow-up. So people get busy. Okay. I am a mom of two. I have, my kids are in sports ages. My daughter plays softball. We had a softball game last night. My son plays soccer. Me and my husband both work from home, like so many different things, and also have a personal life. Sometimes we can forget that we have personal lives outside of business, but I am trying to do everything I can to make sure that your guys' businesses are centered around your personal life and not the other way around. So when it comes to the follow-ups, I like to follow up. It depends on how long your window is of if your proposal expires. So let's say, for example, you have a 1 week window when your proposal expires. You could do what I normally did for my past clients when I set them up. I would do like a 2-day follow-up. I would do I usually did 3 follow-ups, a 4 or 5 day follow-up, and then the day before, like a just a reminder, the proposal expires tomorrow. So in those like follow-up emails, I wasn't always just like, hey, here's your proposal. Like fill it out, like pay me. I more was like trying to answer the questions that I have heard from getting feedback from people of things that they may be wondering, or I would use those opportunities to share testimonials from others. So, maybe if I was doing one and I was saying like, um, hey, you might be sitting there, thinking about your Dubsado build, say to system builds, you're thinking about your Dubsado build and wondering like what this is going to do for my business moving forward. Like, don't just take it from me, take it from Skylar, who worked with me this year. And she was able to take a maternity leave after I did her Dubsado build. That's an actual client of mine. And so I would put that testimonial in there and explain, what she felt before, how she felt after, what she was able to do in her business. And then that was, again, taking it from just me of pay me, here's the proposal again. It was like, no, like here's someone that's worked with me and let me explain. Or like, hey, you may have questions right now. Here are some frequently asked questions that I get on my services. If your question's not in here, send me back an email and let me know what your question is. Leaving it open for them to ask a question. A lot of times I would get questions back of people like, hey, yes, I actually do have a question. Thank you for like leaving this open for me to ask questions. And so they would do it that way. So that is how I would go about follow-ups. But again, it just really depends on how long your process is of when your proposals expire. But follow-ups are important. I do them now. I work with a lot of like different companies for like sponsorships for my events. And these are big companies. And so I know I'm not the only one that's in their inbox right now. So I will send them a follow-up and be like, hey, just bumping this to the top of your inbox. I know emails get crazy. And I've had a lot of people like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like this was like at the bottom of my inbox. Like I would love to schedule a call. And so you never know. Don't just take I don't hear from them as I know they're not interested. Maybe they're thinking the same of you. Like, I haven't heard from her again. So I'm just another dollar sign in her bank account. I never want anyone to ever feel like that. I never want my coaching students to feel like that. My clients, like anyone that attends my events, like they are not just a dollar sign. They are members of my community. Okay. I think I got them all in the Q&A. I'm going to go in the chat. Yeah, you are so welcome. Can you explain how to make the customized emails of the canned ones when you didn't do discovery calls with them? I need to automate this process better for myself. Stacy, if you are still here, if you are you talking about that email that I had showed that had the ClickUp information before someone had done a call with me? I'll see if you answer, but to go into canned emails and stuff like that, you'll want to go into templates and Dubsado and then go to canned emails. And then that's where you're going to make any of your canned emails. When you are sending those emails, those are going to get sent via workflows. So you're going to set up workflows in Dubsado, and then those are going to get sent via workflows. The example that I had shown on the webinar was when someone filled out my lead capture, there is a element. So like a selection that they would make, and it was the workflow element. When they selected which service they were interested in, it would then populate a certain workflow depending on what service they were interested in. So for like services of like if they're interested in ClickUp or Dubsado or anything like that, photographers, wedding photography, family photography, portrait, like different options. Then when they get a workflow, that workflow is going to start with an email that is customized for that specific service. So again, this is the workflow element. So if you go on like Google and pull up Dubsado's their different help articles. If you pull up their workflow element help article, this will show you how to set that up. And then go through any trainings on workflows if you're unfamiliar with workflows on how to get that set up. So vibe checks after they already wanted to work with you. So I did, so when someone was interested in my service, they would fill out my lead capture and then they would get the information of those emails that had like my pricing, all that type of stuff in there. And then depending on if I already knew them or if I like didn't feel like I needed a call with them, they would just get sent like my stuff to book with me. If I felt like they needed a call, I would send them a vibe check, but I would make sure that they were ready to book. Like in my lead capture, I had like it showed what the minimum investment was. And then I had like a yes or no, like you like based on the minimum investment, like, are you ready to move forward with the service? And anyone that said like no, I would send them like a follow-up email about that because I'm big on like my time. I don't love to get on a ton of calls. So I will send an email. I will send a Loom video. I will send anything over like getting on a bunch of calls, mainly because I have like two littles and I want to like not be on calls. Like my son is homesick today. And I'm like, okay, I have like one call today where I'm like, I need the house to be quiet. And so I just like to get on minimal calls. And so if it was someone that I felt needed a vibe check, I would make sure that they knew it wasn't a sales call. They were ready to invest. And we were just making sure that we were like the right fit for each other personality wise. For me to get on one of those, I kind of already have an idea that they are. If I'm getting more red flags and I'm getting green flags, I usually listen to my gut and I like will send them like a regret email. I think there's a power in saying no and not working with everyone. It leaves you open to work with the right people. So I know you may be at a point in your business where you can't say no to people or like you need to make money and things like that. And I get it. I've been there. But also when I made that transition of being like, I'm going to be a little bit more selective, a lot of opportunities showed up in my right ideal clients because I had the capacity to work with them because I wasn't over extending myself working with anyone and everyone. So hopefully that answered your question, Patricia. Okay, I see another one popped up. Okay. It was more about how did you know what content to write to customize them if you don't do discovery calls with them? Okay. So for that was based off of what I was hearing people ask in previous discovery calls, what people were asking on in my Instagram DMs, what people were posting on different, like now we have threads. So what people are posting on threads, asking questions about commenting certain things, questions I get asked at speaking events, like all of those types of things I would keep note of, like keep track of in my project management tool. So I use Notion and I keep track. I have a section of like community questions and like I have certain things that I can pull for like frequently asked questions for my website, frequently asked questions for canned emails, stuff to make sure that are in emails when I'm sending out proposals, like all that type of stuff. It just comes from listening to your audience, and also just asking those questions when you're getting to know them. If you're like, I love selling in the Instagram DMs. I used to have a free, it's still floating out there somewhere, a free resource called It Goes Down in the DMs. And because I love to sell in the Instagram DMs, again, because I don't love getting on calls. But if you're ever in my DMs, you'll probably get a voice memo from me because I just love all things audio. And I, would talk about certain things in there and I would hear what they were asking, what we were talking about, and those types of things I would pull into those emails. So it just came from listening to my audience, but I didn't start my business not doing discovery calls. But I started to audit my client experience and certain things that were draining for me and not income producing for me and the way that I was going about them. And discovery calls were one of them. And I just made that change. And it made all the difference for my business personally. Thank you for answering my questions. It's repeated because I didn't see it go through. Ignore the next question. You're so welcome, Stacy. Any other questions before we hop off? I hope this was helpful for you guys. I just wanted to show you guys what can be possible by doing these certain things. I didn't want this to be a crazy, robust like webinar of the ins and outs of proposals because I feel like a lot of people overcomplicate proposals and overcomplicate the process of getting people to book. And it can be as simple as an invoice and a contract, especially if you're just getting started in Dubsado. It can be that easy. Yes, we can elevate proposals. I have some that are like very elevated with coding and all kinds of stuff, but not every situation needs something like that. And so I just want you guys to see that you can do these things and you can increase your conversion rate. You can increase your revenue, your profit by taking this 6-step framework and implementing it into your booking process. So I really encourage you guys to take this, sit with it, audit your current process, go through things and be like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is where my client experience is lacking. Go through past testimonials, past feedback, go through Voxer messages, Slack messages, whatever you use to talk with your clients, and hear any frustrations, any things that they loved, and look through that and then see what you need to audit and refine. My Instagram handle is the Taryn Rochelle. So I'll drop it in the chat for those watching live, and then anyone who is catching the replay, it is on the slides. And then that QR code on the last slide is just in my Stan Store where you'll see like everything from me. But I hope you guys love this so much. I am really excited to see what you guys do next. If you're catching the replay, let us know how you guys enjoyed this in the comments. For you guys that watch this live, thank you for being here live with me. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all the questions and comments. You guys were great. Can't wait to see what you guys do. And I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your day and go make that money. Get those proposals booked and paid. And I can't wait to see what you do. Thank you guys so much and have a great day.